Today, I'll show you how to integrate the Rust API with Redis. Redis is a distributed in-memory key-value store that supports different data structures. We will use Redis to build a ranking system for our movies application. So each time that a user queries a particular movie, we will record that event, and then we will add an endpoint so that we can retrieve all the ranking sorted by popularity. The most popular movie will be at the top, and you get the idea. Make sure to clone the GitHub repository so that you can follow along. I'll go ahead and first run the application. I'll show you how it works. So let's run Docker Compose up. Then let's head over to the browser and let's search for a particular movie like Aliens. Great. Then if I go to the ranking service, then we see that Aliens shows up. Also these other queries because I was testing before I started the video. So if I search for Aliens a bunch of times, then the Aliens counter will keep growing. That's the gist of it. And then one important thing to mention is that even if the movie does not exist, we still add it to the rankings, the table. How does this work? Like before, we'll start by looking at the Docker Compose file, and you'll see that there's a new middleware application. So all I'm doing is using a stock image of Redis, then setting a container name and exposing 6379. This is the default port for Redis. And then attaching the container to the movies network and exposing the port to localhost. This is mostly for troubleshooting. So let's go ahead and look at the code. So let's start by looking at the API. So I added a new service called ranking. And the first thing that we'll do is we'll get a Redis connection from the state object. And let's back up for a second and look at how the Redis connection was exposed to the application. So as you can see, we read an environment variable that contains the Redis URL. And then if we cannot find the URL, then we'll just go ahead and crash. If we do find the Redis URL, we'll open the connection to it and then pass down the Redis object to the storage. And like we did with PostgreSQL, then we'll pass the storage to the manage state of a Rocket. If we look at the type, of the Redis object, is just a client object. So let's go ahead and take a look at the handle again. So we obtain a connection, and then we query the movies, and then map the results from a vector of ranking entries. By default, Redis will return the collection sorted in an ascending order, but we want the collection to be sorted in a descending order, so that's why I had to do this. So let's look at how this method works. Very, very small, not a lot of code, but we are using the zrange by score with scores function. And then we are passing the name of the Redis collection that we want to query. And then we are saying, please give me all the elements from 0 to the maximum possible element. So what's the equivalent in Redis? So say say you want to see how this really works, right? This is like a Rust API, but we want to do it by hand. Then I included in the README a couple of commands that you can use. So if you want to connect to Redis, just use this Docker command. There you go. Now we are connected to the Redis container, and then we can run the same command that we are accessing through the API. Pretty cool, right? All right, so we were looking at the API. Okay, so there's not much more to it. Just oh yeah. Well, the other thing I do is after getting all these objects back, if you look at the type is different, right? I have a vector of tuples from string to integers, and then I want to turn that into custom objects called ranking entries. So what I do is I clone the title, and then I just pass the score and transform from tuple to ranking entries. So that's how getMovie works. Now let's look at how we record each hit to the API. So within our API file, we have a method called getMovie with title, right? So it's getMovie. So here we get again the Redis connection, and I defined a method called incrementmovie search count. And here you can see that if we fail to increase that count, we just print the error and we just keep going. The reason is that in my mind, if you fail to increase that count, you shouldn't make everything else fail, right? So that's why if incrementing the count fails, it just prints an error and continues to read the movie anyways. So let's see how incrementmovie works. Again, this is just a one line method that calls the Redis API, and it will access our movies ranking collection and increase the count for the, well, this is actually a bad name. Let's go ahead and fix this. It should be called title, right? Okay, so it just takes the title and increases the count for that particular title, and that's it. If the element does not exist, Redis will create an element for you. That's pretty cool. So how will we do that in Redis? Well, let's connect again to the container. Then, luckily, Redis helps you a lot. What's the name of our collection? It's ranking, right? We want to increment by 1, and then the name of the movie. So there you go. You see that a new movie was added. So pretty cool, right? So this is the equivalent way to do it with Redis. Then if we hit our API, it should just work. There you go. So pretty cool. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching.